right, so let's jump back for a second into the 1-2 pebble in my shoe is what we call that. So I was doing, or you could do, or you could do. So that you could vary where you're striking it while still playing the same rhythm. So that's another way to break up the monotony. I wouldn't really call it monotony because in true African drumming, everybody is assigned parts, and they maintain that part, whether it be the cowbell, go-go bells. So they're not really. You're not having 20 people all improvising. You can't all talk at the same time. You have to have listeners, right? So usually the lead drummers are assigned and who's going to, go first and that kind of thing. And of course, there's still the spontaneity, but in traditional songs, if it's a wedding or a rite of passage, you don't change. You keep the same rhythm, and you're not in there trying to be, number one, showing off your talent. A lot of the videos you'll see coming out of Africa, where it's just a group of kids or young people drumming, oftentimes they're all trying to see who can dance the best on the drum. So there'll be some mix up there. But yeah, a good conversation one-on-one, really can work. So yeah, always feel free to vary your rhythm. If you get, and if you're going to vary a rhythm, most music is set up in blocks of 4. So if you change after 4 or 8 or 16, something like that, that'll usually fit in with the overall groove that's going on. Let's see, what do I want to do? Are you familiar with funga? Funga.
She's like, with what?
Funga?
Yeah,
No.
I know it's a funga alafia.
No,
So,
actually, no.
so funga is a welcome song, and fang means welcome, and alafia means come in peace.
Okay.
The song was written of a combination of Yoruban tradition, but included the country Liberia. There was a dance troupe from Liberia. And so the gentleman who actually wrote the rhythm to it borrowed an old rhythm called Sweet Liza Jane. He then added in the drum rhythm and parts and worked it out, and they performed it as a troupe, which was really cool. So the words are Fanga alafeya, ashe, ashe. Fanga alafeya, ashe, ashe. Ashe, ashe. Ashe, ashe. Ashe, ashe. Ashe, ashe. And the drum part is a variety of them, but the most common one is, and I'm going to give you the names. Instead of saying bass, tone, slap, they do gun, dun. So your strong hand would be gun, and your non-dominant hand would be dun. So GD, gun, dun, do, do, pa, ta. Gun, gun, do, do, pa, ta. Alright? So those would be just changing the names of the notes. So for boon, go. All right. So just listen to it, because there's space in this. Boon, space. Do, do, do. Boon, do, do. Boon, do, do. Show you a technique that some drummers will use, and it can either be an actual note or an implied note. Sometimes in music it'll be called the ghost note, so it's not really written, but as they play it, they feel it, they add it in. So that space where I was putting my hand up here, instead I'm going to just touch the drum. light touch or not, you can make it a note, but again, a softer. So the idea there is you're keeping the left-right order by making your hand do something, but it's not really relevant to the overall structure, but it can be utilized as a bonus note. So when it gets faster, you may be playing it more. You heard it actually became like just part of the rhythm. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I want to say something. A lot of times women drum a little slightly different in the learning.
Mhm.
And so, for example, me hearing that song, I feel that, remember, drumming is your heartbeat. That's what you're doing is your heartbeat. And so I kind of ride that song, which gives me that natural spacing. Men don't always do that
Oh, okay.
in that same way, but I find that a lot of women, I can hear the beat. That's why I can close my eyes and do it because I'm writing the song.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's visual if I start
Yeah.
watching him, but other times if I get off because I'm watching him and I see you guys, you're staring at him, and yes, that's good, which is what you have to do to learn.
Mhm.
But at some point, I say, okay, I'm just copying him. That's not drumming. And I close my eyes and I listen. Even being deaf, it's even more important, okay, because sound is important to me. And writing that with your heart, okay, gives you that natural rhythm. That's why that space is
Right.
in there. You can hear it inside. And so when you start drumming
And
with your heart,
if you people that if you're hard of hearing, you might feel stuff more. You'll probably feel
Yeah.
the vibration more.
She
yeah,
does.
'Cause,
we're more feely
like,
people.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys know my friend Sandy. I don't know. She teaches yoga and fitness and stuff, and she's hearing impaired. And she says she like sees things more. Like her
Sure.
sight is more aware. Like she feels like if if you're drumming, you probably feel that vibration.
Yeah.
You feel it. Like
I mean,
She
I don't
can
senses
can
are
anticipate
heightened.
some of what
if
I'm
you
doing
have-
and stuff.
Yeah.
I can anticipate it because I'm feeling it,
Yeah.
not learning it. And sometimes he'll get into something so complicated, and I'll go, okay, there's no way I know this, even after 2 years, drumming together side by side. I just don't know it. But if I close my eyes, I can feel the rhythm,
Yeah.
and I can compliment him
I agree with that.
instead of
you're- yeah,
necessarily copying him.
mhm.
And sometimes, let's do something complimentary.
Yeah, well,
So just-
her point is valid that she would try as I'm going into this my hyper speed for her. She just
Too much
sees
in
it
the
as
head.
hyperspace, and I'm like, don't try to do
Go at
that.
your own
That
pace.
took me a lot of years to get there, and I'm still not good at it. So don't worry about it. Just do the notes that fill in or that support.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what she does. She goes into the heart. And the other side of what she was saying about the emotive component, of course, would be the logical component. That's where you write it out. You actually see where the notes and the spaces and all that.
Mm.
It's another way of learning. I
Mhm.
don't tend to do that as much. Some teachers will have a whiteboard, and we can do that. Like if we do another lesson, we could actually break some down so that you can see them. But I know I took a Dumbek class from a lady, Rocky, and I was watching her try to explain it, and I just couldn't do it. I did what she said. I just closed my eyes and
Yeah.
listened to it and felt it. It made that easier.
And that's one of the reasons with couples drumming, if you are connecting in your feelings, basically, you can sync
You feed off each
to
other.
each
Yes,
other.
we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
and
Be-
stuff. And that's often what we do is I kind of ride the song in his heart instead of the song he's playing. It's hearing it at a different level.
Yeah.
And then it automatically complements somehow.
All right, so now we're going to do a rhythm, a simplified rhythm again, is part of a more complex rhythm. So the breakdown that I have, I call it cool like that. So you could think of it by starting with your fingers. I'm cool like that. 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 Sorry, I messed up. So the more complex rhythm is called cuckoo. And I was just reading during the break. There are varieties of regional cuckoo. So the more basic one is in its faster form, but I'll slow it down. Is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. If you think of it. I switched over back to, it's a simplified. I took out some of the notes because when it gets fast, when you're in a group of people, sometimes that's all you can do.
So the hardest thing are the transitions, and that's because if you're just going to keep doing this, you're okay. But then, so there's a transition in there. So when you hear that transition where the drum facilitator is going off, maybe 8 bars of something once, and then another 4 of something, and then back to the 8, you have to listen to that transition. Right now it's a little hard because our drum circles are like really spread out, so we don't always hear because we're 8 feet apart or 12 feet apart on the other thing. So some of those like do that, but when he doesn't tell me when he's transitioning. It's all of a sudden. All of a sudden, it's like, so you have
Which is why I say don't try to copy me. Wait till it comes around again. Or
you have to listen. It's not like kids drumming. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. So another part that works with is. I'm cracking up. You guys need. I can tell you need the drumming.
So
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
like, so let's say there was two parts to that song, okay, that Dave just showed you. So when I first started, I could do this part, but I couldn't do this thing. So what I did is, while he transitioned, I stayed with the bass beat. So sometimes staying with the bass beat supports
Yeah.
the facilitators, you know, the really
Yeah.
good drummers.
Yeah.
And so sometimes if I get lost or something in a drum circle, I'll just sit there and
Back to
do
the-
that bass
Yeah.
and not worry about the rest.
Yeah.
So don't feel stress, you know, or that you have to keep up, but figure out where is that bass beat that will support the circle or the facilitator or your partner.
How are the drums working out?
Nice,
Good.
Yeah.
I like them.
Nice to have it.
Yeah.
It's it's a different feeling. You know the editors. Each one has its own energy because it's its own tree. Yeah, that one you probably have to tilt it just a little more, or just because of the way he was hitting it. Yeah, you got it.
I know sometimes
This one has a lot of bass.
some of the
Yeah.
drums have, I think you can get like a stand for the drum that kind of like raises it up a little.
Well,
Right,
be
that kinda
careful of the stands unless they have some way to keep the angle. You got to remember
okay.
this part. I see
So
people.
even if it's like this on a stand, it's
well,
not so on. But
There's a guy that shows up. He's got like 3 drums all in holes in a plywood. He puts them all in, but he plays them with mallets, so he's not having to worry about the proper
Mhm.
angle.
And age. As you see people get older, they start that because they can't hold it with their feet.
yeah.
Or things like that. What I find sometimes also is like leggings like this.
Uh-huh.
They'll only for women, but a
Oh,
lot of
leggings
the
on too.
drumming clothes and stuff, they'll slip off. So
Yeah.
there's a different.
Oh yeah, I've had stuff that was slippery.
I had one like these silk pants, and I was like, I can't drum.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
put a towel.
Yeah, they're slippery, yeah.
Under it.
All right, so let's go back to Funga.
Okay.
All right, I got a part for you. I got a part for you because I can hear almost like. sounded good with the two parts. I like that.
Mhm.
So that was
See, so I kept the bass when he went off.
Uh-huh.
I kept that rhythm, and he
Yeah.
went all around me, so he felt supported because I had the bass going.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things going. My biggest problem when I started learning drumming is I wouldn't lift my hand high enough. So you had to practice.
Yeah,
And so I used my breast. It's going to be over my breast.
what you saying is one of two parts of the equation. So lifting it up and away. If you think about it, you're getting away from the sound. Try to get ahead of the sound. You can actually feel like you're taking, like you're bringing that sound really far away, right?
Yeah.
So the second part is, think about it when you're a kid and you bounce on a bed. You don't bounce on a bed like that. You bounce by coming off the bed,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the longer you stay on the bed, the less the vibration because you're dampening it. Right? You can just touching it. So you can use that to your advantage, part of the rhythm. So with one finger, I can do the work of a hand. Because I'm playing off the previous strike.
Mhm.
And the same applies when I use the gong. You know, you can oversaturate by hitting it too many times in succession, and all the waves are just convoluted, mixed up. But you could use it rhythmically to play off that beat and give you that free note you didn't really have to work for.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, your drummer also may sing off the other person. So often my drum is vibrating because he's playing. So there's something going on with your own drum that is responding to your partner's basically.
Right, you're
Rhythm.
interconnecting the sounds, which is
If you
where
put your hand
where
on
some
it.
of the joy comes from.
Yeah.
Because that sound when you two are singing together, it's incredible.
Mhm.
When we started drumming together, I was still living up in Stewartsville, which is why I know Blairstown.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
okay.
she would come over, and I had sometimes she brought a drum, sometimes she just used my drum. But we would sit there in the living room and just without any plans, just start drumming
That's cool.
and see where it took us.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, we'd be like, that was some journey. You know,
Yeah,
you could
it's
feel
like
our
getting
love
lost
was
in
growing during that time.
Mhm.
It's very bonding.
Did you guys live down here, or?
Well, we didn't start down here. Mostly we were spending more time at his house because
I was
he had
packing, for one.
it had to be more organized and
Uh,
stuff, and he wasn't traveling as much as I could because he had different work schedule than I had. I work at home and stuff, so it was easier for me to go up for him right away than come down here. Once he even got down here and the space was, he saw the space, then it's like, okay, this is nice down here. but it is so, use it as a bond. Just drum together without the circle and stuff, and it's kind of like making
All right.
love. It's kind of like making love. You know, your hearts are connected, and there's rhythm.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
So use it as a bond.
We gotta find a spot where we're not disturbing anybody. Right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, well, or you get a really good day, you might still go out, hike somewhere, but you'll need your chairs. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do it at a park somewhere.
Yeah.
Or something. That way we're not like.
When we were in Florida, we could not drum in the house. One time we got away with it, but one
It's nice.
time.
I like doing it outside. I do.
Yeah. Well, we had people that were living upstairs, so we really couldn't. And we had to drum. There was something going on. It was like at the National Drum Out or something. It was during the beginning of the coronavirus. We went in my van. We went into a parking lot. And just the two of us were in there with a little light, and we just sat there and drummed
Oh,
for a
you
while.
did?
That's funny.
That is funny. Hey, you know.
And we went live on top of that.
Yeah.
That's cool, though.
All right, let's see. What am I going to do here? So, I like to adapt old songs, especially rhythm and blues, things that you've heard at weddings and different things. But they can be really fun because they've got the beat. So, Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Pop. Yes. That's one problem is when we get to a drum circle like Asbury, we can't. We got to get these set up. We forget to stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you get tired within the first song.
It's like
Especially as you
exercising.
get
gotta
older, it
stretch, it's
prevents
an exercise.
arthritis. and-
Before jogging or something.
Yeah, when you're doing yoga, you do,
Yep.
you do the
Oh,
wrist
yeah.
thing
Yeah.
in yoga.
Absolutely.
Make your wrist like stronger.
All right, shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop. Notice that the second part of the cadence, I actually stopped because that's where the accent makes the song. So noticed you were not using the bass, which is okay. So you can vary it. Again, you know, you're not locked in unless you're told you can only play one part. If you're assigned a part, which sometimes it's fun. we might at another time, we'll all take each a different part. You know, we could bring this in, the cowbell, and we can start doing some, get more complex rhythm.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I find at most drum circles, everybody just wants to drum. They bring all their percussion, and half the time it just sits there.
I know, right?
Oh, you don't have a drum? Here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that in mind. All right, here's one that I used when I first started meeting Cheryl. You guys might want to use the smaller drums for this, and you could choose to do it under your arm. Have you ever tried your playing on your lap under your arm?
Yeah.
So that would be Arabic or Mediterranean style. But you could do it, you know, on these drums the way you have it right now. So this is, I call it Watch the Dancer. Kiss the Dancer was how I learned it, but Watch the Dancer. So I'm opening and closing. I'll do it slowly. So this doesn't vary.
He can't drum slow. I don't mean a break where we change to another pattern, but the silence is it does give you, because if you try to do it, it either becomes mechanical or you become sore or both.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you had this great groove. You kept it right underneath. It was an alternate part that worked perfectly and added to the cohesiveness. But it's tiring because it's
tiring.
It's repetition.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's good. That's good that you found your own, and that's part of what the circle is.
Yeah.
You'll find your own. Now it doesn't mean that pattern's going to start working for all the other songs. So you just I found one, it works.
No.
But when you find it, you stick with it. And what's funny is I have certain grooves that I've kind of locked into, and I go to someone else's drum circle, and I might find that pattern works. Which is really cool because now they have never heard that in their circle of friends.
Yeah.
You know, but other times it's just I'm like, oh no, it changes the song too much. So I've had that too.
Yeah.
You know, I start putting my interpretation on what they're used to doing, and I've done that to John. at the John Circles.
Oh, have you?
Well, I
Yeah.
start getting wild and crazy, and all of a sudden he's like, boom, change the rhythm.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're throwing me off. Let me get it back to the.
What happened? All right, one song that you guys probably have heard either from like The Lion King or either from a record maybe your parents had is Wimbaway.
Oh, yeah.
So Wimbaway I like after some energetic drumming. It's nice to have something that's. So yeah,